you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I just have this thing running, so we'll have a good... So I was in a twin, and the guy was down doing something underneath the cowling, and I was over there, and I literally didn't see, he was down there for like 15 seconds. I didn't see him, and luckily I was with another guy, an instructor, and he saw the guy down there, but you always want to yell clear prop,
yes,
because you never know who's around here.
Yes.
And if there's ever any little kids around here, or we were here one day and there was a guy shooting a video here, just stop. Just don't start the engine when there's strangers around or little kids, because that is certain death, right?
Yes.
Okay, where are we? Master switch, prop clear, ignition, throttle is adjusted. We're at about 950 right now. Oil pressure is normal. The cylinder head temp's going to come up. Our suction will come up as we increase the throttle. I'm going to go ahead and just hit enter. We'll go over the nav the next time. This is in a self-test and checking for satellites right now. Mixture, if we want to lean for taxi, we bring it out about an inch or 2 fingers worth. If you pull, I'm just going to demonstrate this. If you take it out much more, the engine starts to conk. So 2 fingers, that's 2 fingers right there to me. Any more than that, you're, you know, on the verge of a conk out here. We're not at altitude today, so we're not worried about leaning this for altitude. There's nothing the matter with not leaning this, but good practice is to lean it. The problem is, I think I was with somebody yesterday. They said they did the checklist, and I can't see this perfectly. You know, I got my yoke here. I did my CFI check when we're taking off, and he had done it twice, once when we landed, once when we took off, and this was in this position now. If you had full power, and this is here, you don't have full fuel. And that could be certain death, so this is important, this is important, this is important, that's important.
Yes.
The rest of it, you know, it's a continuum of how close to death you want to get, but trim wheel, and right here, this is all the really critical stuff right here.
Okay.
That's why it's here, so we both can see it, right? Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of that out, because as this thing's running, it's getting a little better. So engine check, starting checklist complete, before taxi, avionics on, headsets on.
Yes.
Our noise canceling should be on. I don't know if you got that, but... Flaps, I'm going to check the flaps right now, Mel, because of the wind, and they look like, you can look out your side. We want to make sure they're operating normally and that they fully deflect and that they come back up right, and at the same time and at the same speed. They're electric, unlike the Pipers, which are manual, so these things can fail. So we got flaps at 0, radio is 1228, 119, 325. I'm going to go ahead and put this, I'm going to let you do it. I want you to put McGuire in the standby. It's, I'm going to start this timer too, so we know we got to get back here. I want you to put 126475 in the standby frequency. You got it.
Oh, I went the wrong way.
No, you're doing great. 126, and then kilohertz 475. They just changed that frequency, so now if you want McGuire, you just hit that.
Okay.
There's another feature here that if you have an emergency in flight with the Garmin's, I believe it's right here. If you hold this for 3 seconds, you get the emergency frequency of 121.5 directly into the active frequency box, and now you can make a call and you'll get every ATC facility that can hear you. So I just screwed this up, so I need you to put the, we're going to put, and you don't ever want to transmit on that for any reason unless an emergency.
Right.
So we don't even want it in here if we can help it. So we're going back to 126475. So eventually you're going to be soloing.
Okay.
And instead of people putting it in the second radio and having it as a, you know, safety feature, you just got to remember, hold that 3 seconds, and you got 1215, and you're ready to talk. So now you got to do it one more time.
Okay.
So flip-flop first. Yep. We got it. Now you know how the comm settings on the radio work.
126475.
126475.
Yep.
This is the volume.
Okay. Volume for what?
The comm radio.
Oh, okay.
And this is the squelch level for the comm radio. So we'll check this when we get in the air.
Okay.
I've just now changed it, so I want to make sure sure we actually have comm radio now. Okay, actually let's do a radio check. Wait.
I cannot hear you.
Thank you. Okay, so this is so the important thing is this needs to be in the down position for phones. The up position is speaker, which we don't want unless our headsets die. And the middle one, let's just leave alone.
But the radio, I didn't hear anything.
I heard the guy say loud and clear, but it was really low volume, so I just turned the, when I was screwing around with the volume, that happened. So when this is down, it's on phones. And that, I believe that puts everything in phones now.
Okay.
We can check that really quick. We can go to the nav frequency here. Yeah, actually, we'll just go to COM 2 though. We'll do this after. I want to get you flying, so I'm gonna end up changing another setting. So transponder is set to altitude and 1200.
Yes.
This is how you change the, you can put it on standby right here, which we don't want anymore. That used to be common. If we were to put in, let me just turn this, I don't want to turn it all the way off, but if we were to put in, I'm not going to put in another frequency because then it's going to transmit. But if I had another frequency from ATC like 4672, and I want to go back to 1200, I just hit the VFR button, and it'll go back to 1200. And if I want to identify, we'll go over all that when we're doing flight following. We want this on altitude right now.
Okay.
Not off.
Okay.
So we got the VFR squawk code in there. Radios are set, transponder set. I got the ATIS, we'll just grab it one more time. We have that in COM 2.
Temperature 27 Celsius. Dew point 18
You're going to set the altimeter.
Altimeter 2998.
2998.
Density altitude 1,400.
29. Yep, you got it.
Automated weather observation.
So it's probably one more. Yeah, there you go.
Wind 280.
You want to check it because we're at 49 feet right now. So that looks pretty close to where we are. We're going to set this to level.
Sky condition scattered 3,800.
This will come up when the suction comes up.
Temperature 27
We'll set
Celsius.
this to 200.
Dew point 18 Celsius. Altimeter 29.
You got to push it. There you go.
Remarks.
So back.
Density altitude
200 is right there. You got it.
1,400. Automated weather
Parking brake
observation.
release.
Yep.
17560.
We're going to test the brakes while we taxi.
270 at 12. Peak gusts 19er.
Okay, so we got wind coming from 270, which is right across the runway. So now I'm gonna get you out of this cockeye position. And as soon as I get you away from this vehicle, which, you know, that's his plane, he's allowed to park wherever he wants there, but we don't want to hit it.
That's right.
All right, so you're on the yellow line now?
Yes.
Now the question is, which way should we take off? So it said the wind was out at 270. It kind of indicates we should be taking off into the wind, which is that way by only about 10 degrees. So let's go. Unless we see someone doing something differently, we'll head down there. Okay, your plane?
My plane.
So just a little bit of power to get going, then you can typically pull it back to about 900 to 1,000, and it'll start picking up speed. And the most important thing in here, besides not hitting people, is not hitting other planes, because if you hit a plane in here, you probably ruined 2 of the flight school planes for 3 months, which someone did this winter. Okay, so now we're going to stop. So I'm just going to get on the brakes here and check my brakes. And the windsock, the little end of the windsock is pointing slightly in that direction, so we'll head down there.
Okay.
So we're checking left and right, and I'm looking to see if there's anybody else here. I'm also going to check the ADSB.
A little bit of give on this.
So I do not see, I'm going to get rid of this internet lightning too, just before we leave. There we go. So I do not see anybody else out here flying. So we're going to head down that way. So try and stay on the yellow line, which is very difficult to see. And you can hold that yoke. That's fine. Just don't think that it's doing much in terms of steering the plane. Actually, you know what? Let me give you like some free advice till you get used to this. Let me get you on the line. Put your hands up on the, it's pretty hot today, but if I take the yoke and you just use your pedals, you'll learn how to do this, your rudder pedals. What did I say? The wind is coming from that direction, so we want to have that aileron down. And there's really not a whole lot to do with the elevator, but I'm just going to keep it in the neutral position. So use the throttle and your feet and the brakes and taxi me down to the other end of the runway and try and stay on this far right yellow line. That's kind of the one that'll keep you away from. So we need a little right rudder here. So
right, let's all the way down. Okay.
Yeah, you got. That's why I want you to do this, because the sooner you figure out what kind of rudder authority you have. And I told you this was going to be frustrating for a while. So you're going to be frustrated that you're a grown man and you can't steer with your feet, but you shouldn't be able to. You've never done this before, except the last 2 times you and I were together. This is probably the thing that really gets people frustrated in the beginning. And it takes somewhere between 2 and 5 hours, and you'll have completely forgotten that you ever didn't know how to steer with your feet. I promise you, in 2 weeks, this will not be what you're worried about in your flight training, because we'll be doing something really exciting. This is fine, though. And this is about the speed you want to taxi to, because every time you go by Barbara's window,
she's looking.
She's watching for a lot of reasons. You know, A, if you're taxiing really fast, you can go off the runway. You can't stop, and it's unnecessary.
And when you're taxiing, are you looking at a point in front?
Honestly, it's just like driving a car. I think it is better if you're looking down the road a little bit here. But it also helps to move your head to the center and just get an idea. You can burn into your brain, like there's probably a 6 to 12 inch difference between what it looks like and where your wheel really is.
Right.
And on some twin engine planes, there are mirrors out here on the cowling, and you can actually see the nose wheel.
Okay.
My plane has a mirror out there too to see the wheels, and it helps you to be like, oh, you know, it looks like I'm on there, but when I'm in the pilot seat, I'm really 6 inches to the left. You're doing fine now. And if you want to check the brakes, you know, you probably should pull back on the yoke a little bit, and if you want to just feel the brakes, how they work. So you can feel right there, that was a little differential. I want to make sure no one's behind us. Can you look real quick? I'm just going to get you rolling again here.
Yeah, we're clear.
So when we get up here, so that's a really important lesson, that when you apply the brakes, you want to try and apply them smoothly, and the only way to do that is to just kind of feel the brakes as you're putting them on, because there probably is some slight difference from one pedal to the other, and there's definitely a difference from my side to your side.
Yeah.
So go ahead. When we get up here, I'll show you the differential braking. So pick up a little bit of speed here, just add a little power, and then pull the power back, pull back on the yoke, and try to make a smooth stop. There you go. Now you're staying a little straighter.
Yeah.
Okay, you have the plane?
I have the plane.
And you can hold on to the yoke. I think you got my point about your feet, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes weeks before people, they're always like trying to turn. I'm like, you turn that thing all day, we're not going to turn.
Right.
So let me just show you where I want you to get, and the next time I'll let you do this. So we're going to go up.
Okay.
I like to go up into this corner a little bit, but not to the grass, so because we actually have to turn. So we want to be able to see a little bit over that way for helicopters.
Okay.
But I definitely want to be able to see this direction. So kind of right here pointed at the orange light box.
All right.
I can see if there are helicopters coming because they use the opposite side of the pattern.
Yes.
I can see the downwind, base, and final.
Yes.
And I can also look over there and see if anybody's coming. And I'm also not, if a guy's doing touch and goes or he's already landed, I'm not blocking anybody, and then I'm not blocking a car from driving across, which happens, you know, pretty often, or another plane. So this is a good spot to be.
Okay.
If anybody gives you any hard time about doing a run up here, you know, I don't know what to tell you. This is my favorite spot, and this is where I do a run up in my own plane. The other thing is, some people tell you, oh, you have to do the run up into the wind. Well, that's nice if you have room to do it, but at a lot of airports, you know, if you're at a towered field somewhere, there's going to be a run-up spot, and they tell you there to point your plane toward the tower so he can see you. And
right.
Okay, let's get back to that. You don't have to close that yet.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that in a second. So we need to do a run-up. You good?
Yes.
Okay. I know this is time-consuming, but It's going to take...
It's the process, yeah.
We're going to go from doing this to get to this point from 15 minutes down to 7 or 8 minutes. It's never going to get much shorter than that.
Okay.
Engine run up. Parking brake set. I'll be the parking brake today. Cabin doors, windows closed. We'll get those in a second because it's hot out. Elevator trim set for takeoff.
Yep.
I'm just holding this for you so you can focus. Flight controls, free and correct. So you want to make sure my knees and my iPad and my knee brace and, you know, your legs and my legs.
Yep.
You're very seldom going to be doing it gigantic. But I guarantee you if your knee's there and I need to turn, your knee's probably going to move first. Flight controls, and we want to check it this direction too. And I can see the elevator moving up and down, and we can check the rudders when we were moving. They're kind of hard to check, but I think I see. Yeah, the rudder's moving fine. Okay, fuel quantity. You checked it visually, and that's what it indicates here. Mixture, full rich. So.
Check.
Yeah, loud and clear, flying W.
Thank you.
Okay, so we know our radio works. We don't have to do that. We know it works, sort of, anyway. Mixture full rich, you got that. Throttle, 1700 RPMs. I have the brakes. You can get the brakes too, just so you get in the habit. You got it. Okay, you want to go to 1700? And we're going to do a magneto check, so it's going to be 2 clicks to the left. I'm going to watch you.
2 clicks.
Yeah, but first let's make sure you're rated 17 or thereabouts. That's close.
Oh, sorry.
We just want to start at a position you're looking at, so 2 clicks to the left. That's about a 50 RPM drop. 2 clicks to the right. Now 1 click to the left. Looks about the same, right? A little bit more maybe. Back up. 1 click. And now I just want to make sure we're back on both.
Yes.
And then we're going to put the carb heat on, and we should see 25 to 50 RPM drop. And we'll let that run for a second. Nothing changing there, no roughness, that's going back in. Throttle, bring it back all the way to idle, just like we were getting ready to land.
Plane is about 2 minutes from release, 2 minutes from release.
You're back all the way?
Yeah.
Let me just verify.
Oh, all the way?
Yeah, that's good. And, you know, the plane's still running, and then we're just going to go back to about 900 there.
Okay.
It says 1,000, but that's, you got to be on the brakes to hold that. And one thing we didn't check was the suction at 1700, so there looks very good at 15. That is right there, we missed that. Okay, parking brake released. I'm just going to make sure run-up checklist is complete before takeoff. Doors and windows are first, so let's get our window closed. Make sure your vents are open. Flaps are 0. I verified they're working, and they're both set to 0. Mixture, we're checking it again, right? Full rich, carb heat, off. Lights, boom, boom, boom. All the lights we need are on.
Okay.
This is taxi light, we'll leave that off, and that's pitot heat, we'll leave that off. Trim, set for takeoff. And you notice we're checking all these things twice. Fuel valve is on both. Heading indicator, that's going to probably be different. That says 055 right now. So I'm just going to set this for you so we can get out of here, 055. Transponder, we're checking again, and you'll see why we're doing this all twice. Time, I have a timer running here. We're at almost 16 minutes here. Rotation speed, VR is 55. VY is our climb out speed today. This is our short field climb out speed, maximum rate. This is VY we're going to be using today. So it's 55 and 76. Just make sure you know where the 60 is. So 55 is 1 notch under.
Yeah.
There's 1 big notch and 5, that's 75, and 1 more. So you're looking for right there is our climb out speed.
Okay.
We're going to rotate. Just let me make sure that was it, right? So before takeoff checklist is complete. So when you're done, I take 1 more look, and I just make sure all the switches are set, nothing's popped, mixture. And I'm now convinced that we're ready for takeoff. We did a radio check.
Yes.
So at this point, we would say, first we want to make sure we're not on McGuire. Flying W traffic, Skyhawk 6286 departing runway 19er, closed traffic. We're going to stay in the pattern. As soon as we do that, we want to start rolling because people expect us. So no, go ahead. I wanted to get you out here because these first few lessons we spend an inordinate amount of time So let's not get too close to the wind. Pull the power back.
South Jersey traffic, RV, experimental 12 Yankee.
Okay, so let's get lined up and see where the wind is. So that windsock says it's coming this way. I can't see the other one anymore, so we might even have a slight tailwind now, like, 10 degrees. So we can keep going back and forth all day.
Right.
It's going to blow. That thing will turn 360 degrees. So let's add full power. We're going to set our ailerons into the wind and full power. Let's go. Feet off the brakes.
Yep.
We're going to get on the center line, so I'm going to give you a little left rudder to get over there because this is a little tricky. Just make sure your heels are on the floor.
Yes, they are.
And I'm just using a little bit of right rudder pressure, and I'm not going to let this aileron out till I know I can let it out. And our airspeed is now 50, 55. So you can feel that wind.
Yes.
So I'm using right rudder to and I want to get to
76.
Yeah. So where are we? 73 right now.
Yeah.
So we probably do have a slight tailwind right now. They're 76.
Yeah.
So I have a positive rate of climb,
Yes,
safe airspeed. Everything looks good here.
Yes.
You need to keep your hand on the throttle.
Okay.
I know that's difficult. If you want, I'll do it. You can just feel the yoke. But eventually, this is like check ride failure if you take this off before you're to 500 feet. So I'm just going to hold this. So you can feel it's pretty bumpy out here.
Yes, it is.
You promised me you won't get sick, right?
I promise you I won't.
And I've got some traffic on my ADS-B, so
Traffic jumpers away.
I think we're good. So what we're going to do...
Helicopter right base to final runway 19. Full stop. Flying to
Okay, so there is a helicopter. He's on that side.
Right.
You can see him. He's on the opposite side of us. They use the right side of the pattern. So when I'm going to give you the plane now. It's okay to take your hand off here when we're at altitude if you need to. We're going to go ahead and make a left turn into the pattern. I'm watching out for traffic. We want to make sure there's nobody coming this way,
Jersey traffic, RV,
nobody over here, and nobody coming in on a 45. So pretty much you're looking everywhere right now.
Yep.
I was here one day and an agricultural plane was spraying that field right there.
Wow.
Came up underneath of me. If you want to wet your pants. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm just going to give you a little push. We want to start our downwind here, and I'm watching out for planes. I can see a little better than you can right here.
Yeah.
And we want to keep our climb going. We got about, I don't know, now we only have 5 knots to give up. We don't want to trade. We want to trade any airspeed for altitude in this position.
Okay.
And then here comes 1,000 feet. We're going to 1,049. Let's just call it 1,050. If you call it 1,000, I'm not going to have a problem with that because 1,000 and 1,050 are pretty close. But let's just go to 1,050 right now.
Okay.
See if you can hold that. And then just as soon as you get there, we can push the nose down. And this is all, we're going to do this 100 times, or at least 50 or 80. So right now, it's okay to go ahead and pull the power back because we're at altitude.
Okay.
So I'm going to take it all the way back to 18. You'll see some of the POHs say 15. If you get to a point in your flight training where that works for you, you can try it, but I think these are 30-year-old planes, sometimes older, and I'm going to trim this nose up just a hair to hold 1,050. You can put the carb heat on.
We've got 48 Echo, 4 miles south of the field at...
And you can see that we've...
landing runway 27, cross-use traffic.
Flight to be traffic, Skyhawk is left downwind 19. Okay.
South Jersey traffic, RV base.
This is a really good position to be in. We're just 50 feet high. We're in the white arc.
Yes,
you can put 1 notch of flaps in to 10 degrees. We're going to put the nose down, and I'm going to use the trim to do that a little bit. So we want to be descending at about 250 to 300 feet per minute. Maybe just a little less power. Look back at the runway.
Okay.
And we started a little late because I'm talking you through this, so we're going to go out a little further.
Okay.
That soccer field right there is about as far out as you want to go unless you and I are doing something really different.
Okay.
So we're just going to hold this right there. You can see that's and I don't know if you have a lot of pressure back or forward, but this feels pretty good to me.
Okay.
When we put the next notch of flaps in, the nose is going to pop up. So I want you to do that and feel it because you need to anticipate it. So feel the nose come up. It wasn't a lot, but it's going to make you not descend. So you need to just add a little pressure, and it'll stabilize there.
Okay.
So what I do is when I decide I'm going to add that next notch of flaps, I just put a little forward pressure to prevent it from ever popping up.
All right.
We're going to turn left base here. And I'm just kind of keeping an eye on that. We need a little bit of right rudder to stay centered.
Flying over shield truck, helicopter 860
And we're still doing okay here. We're pretty, that west wind is pushing us away from the airport, so the next pattern we do, we'll make sure we adjust for that.
Okay.
Because we're going to be a little low when we turn final here. We're on a left base right now.
All right.
Flying to be traffic, Skyhawk 62862, left base 19. Okay, so, you see the runway?
Traffic, way Skyhawk 48, Echo 2 miles south of the field, entering the downwind at 45 for landing on runway 27.
Go ahead and add another notch of flaps. We're in the white arc. We have full flaps. Some people will tell you don't put them in until you're on final. That's okay. But as a student, I think it's really, so we're going to turn final here. So we're just making a very slight turn. I'm going to let you do this and line us up. We're right on the glide path. You have one white light and one red light. So now the trick is don't lose it.
So I
can see it's already turning red. So let's just keep our pitch attitude and add a touch of power, and that will, there we go. So now we'll bring the power back to about 17, and it's really windy today. So, so you can see we're cocked 15 degrees. So we're going to bring the nose around using left rudder, and the plane's going to start flying that way because the wind's pushing us. So we're going to put in right aileron. This is a cross control. There's a plane up there. We're in a cross control situation, so it's creating a lot of drag. So I'm going to add a little bit of power. We're still on the glide path.
Yes, we are.
But this is why I told you 18 knots is exceeding the crosswind landing component of this airplane. So I have the rudder all the way to the floor right now. We still have room to go. And we're going to go to a different airport after this so you can have a little better. So now I want to get lined up. My nose and tail are lined up with the white stripes, but I want to get the airplane over the center line. So I'm using right aileron to do that. And we're just going to take the power out now, most of the power. And that's about as, and you feel that?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's all wind getting under our wings. So we're just going to pull the power all the way back. And you know what else? I think there's like a really slight tailwind right there. So you feel how far back I'm pulling?
Yes, I do.
There's also a fuel truck there, which we don't want to hit. So I'm on the brakes pretty heavy right now, but not skidding. And we're just going to
South Jersey, Moni, base, 26.
I'm going to see if anybody else in the pattern. We're going to pull out here.
Okay. Open the window.
Yeah, I just want to ask this helicopter guy if they're going back out. Because I feel like we have a little, so, helicopter flying W, you guys going back up?
In about 30 minutes.
I'm just wondering if we should switch up this runway. I think we just landed with a slight tailwind.
Yeah, it's up to you. I can take off pretty much any way I want.
Did you guys notice a tailwind though?
Maybe a slight one. It's more of a crosswind to us.
Copy. All right, we'll keep it here for a while. I don't want to screw anyone up. Thanks.
Looks like it's just you and I.
Okay, so we're going to move up 2 plane lengths. Yeah, he's got no issue, he said. He can land anywhere he wants.
Nice.
So we're going to move up 2 plane lengths. And that's so the next guy can get off.
Line W, Cessna 739 Zulu Hotel, taxiing runway 19, line W traffic.
Okay, so now we're stopped.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the brakes. I'm going to grab the checklist for you. After landing, flaps to 0. Mixture lean for taxi. Throttle to 1,000 RPMs. Carb heat off. So yeah, that's all that happened here. You just pulled that out. That's all the way out. So we just want to lean.
Oh,
so that's okay. Yeah, so that's good you did that because you won't do that again. Go ahead and give that a crank. No problem. Yeah, so if you, just lean for taxi, 2 fingers. And I'm going to say, you know, yeah, that's plenty. So I just put the carb heat off for you. We're going to reset the trim wheel. Yeah, I'm actually glad you did that because that's another really common problem that people don't understand. How far out you can pull that.
Well, I have to understand the lean for...
yeah, and you know, I wish they didn't even have that on the checklist, but it probably saves the engine and the fuel a little bit. Okay, after landing, carb heat's off, landing, and taxi lights. I'm going to leave them on for now. Trim wheel set. After landing, checklist complete. Okay, you can taxi back up, and just be aware, I'm listening to the radio. Somebody else is taxiing out here. I don't know where they are. I heard somebody...
She's still over there.
Yeah, I don't see her. Oh, she's right there. So if you're we don't want to be aggressive, but they're pretty far away, so if
you want to let her go?
No, I don't. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you stop now, so let's get back on the center line. I'm not trying to be aggressive, but if you were to stop any longer, let's slow down just a little bit, then she would be in a position where we might thinking about yielding or just being safe and stopping again. Because when they get up here, they have to do a run-up. Just imagine she gets up here and didn't do what I told you, which is to go up into the corner, and now she's parked in front of you, and I don't mean she, they go up here and park in front of you, and now you're sitting here for 5 minutes waiting for them to get out of your way. And you and I have nothing to do except a very brief pre-takeoff check, and we're going to be gone. This is perfect. So we're on a little uphill now, so just be aware when you come over the top of this thing, you may end up with a little bit of downhill, and you may have to take 50 RPMs out to not pick up speed. But this is a very nice, I consider this like a brisk walk or jog pace here. I don't think you're going to hurt anybody here as long as you know where the brakes are. Put your head over here and tell me, are you over the line? Or
yes.
There you are. I'm going to be breaking your stones a lot, so it may seem annoying at times, but eventually you'll be taxiing on the yellow line and doing everything else the way you're supposed to. Nothing personal.
No. That's what you're here for.
Yep. Yeah, because you'll be doing this by yourself in no time. And when you're doing it by yourself, you know, the mechanic's over in this hangar all the time, and they're watching everything you do. So when you're doing it by yourself, I want to make sure you're doing it the way you would do it if I'm here. So we'll just practice all this stuff and just keep the critiques going until we got it right. Yeah, so there's a big wind here. So my suggestion is it's 270. The South Jersey runway is 260. It's actually a narrow runway, so we're going to go up a little further, just like we did before, and that'll allow them room to pull up behind us and do their run-up. We'll be gone before they even get here if we do this right. A little bit of turn to the right. There you go. And then always neutralize your nose wheel so you're not trying to start from a cockeyed nose wheel position. That's perfect. So you got a half a mile or a quarter mile before they get here. Let's close our window.
Yes.
Grab the checklist, and we're doing the before takeoff. So you and I have done this like 5 times, so go ahead.
That's before.
Yep.
Before takeoff.
Yep.
Flaps as required.
So it's best if you touch everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is...
mixture rich set for, it is?
Nope. That's got to go in. So that one will kill you.
Okay.
You just learned that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Carb heat.
Off is all the way in, so you're in the off position.
Lights as required.
They're all good.
Trim set to take off.
Yep. 2 notches, an indicator.
Fuel valve both.
Yep.
Heading indicator recheck.
So this is probably almost always. So I'm going to say make that 042 right now, and it's only off by. You'll get used to the numbers soon enough.
Com 1 radio check.
1200.
Loud and clear, flying W.
Thank you.
Transponder 1200.
That looks good, and it's squawking altitude and 1200. That's good.
Right,
I got the timer running.
Okay.
VR 55 and 76. Checklist complete. Good. Okay, so Karen, we're going to move out of your way, and you can have the corner. Flying W traffic 62862 departing 19er. Roll rate out there. I'm just going to add a little more power. There you go. Takes a bit to get rolling. And if the nose wheel had been cocked, it's even harder. Okay. So if we're in a low wheel plane, or low wing plane, you don't want to get this close to the end.
Flying W traffic, time 20 seconds, 9er, Flying W.
Okay, so just line it up. And this is where we don't want to loiter, so everything looks good to me, so you can just add full power. And a little bit of aileron into that wind. Feed off the brakes. I'm going to help you with the rudder because this is a little tricky right now. So we need a little right rudder right now to get back on the center line. Then I'm going to let it loose. And I just want you to make sure your heels are on the floor. So let's go to 55 or 60. There we go.
Yeah.
Just pull back gently and hold it right there. Plane's going to start flying. We do have a little tailwind right now, so I'm going to push the nose down just to give us a little safety margin here. And let's just hold it. We're flying and we're climbing at 500 feet per minute. So just hold that heading. You have the plane.
I have the plane.
This all looks good to me. You have a positive rate of climb and your airspeed 76 to 80. So it turns out this plane almost flies itself sometimes if you have everything set up, which is exactly what it's doing. It's rigged properly, the weight and balance is good, and watch out for these birds. They're all over the place.
As well.
So we're gonna, let's go straight out.
Okay.
And we will climb above the pattern, head back over to South Jersey.
So you want
unless you want to go to Hamilton for some reason, but I think that'll burn a little more time than we have. Let's go to South Jersey and do 2 or 3 landings.
Okay.
We can probably get 2 good ones in over there before you have to come back. So it's, yeah, you're actually on the right heading here. Let's stay right here.
Okay.
That's 19er heading. The wind is pushing us a little that way, and you got...
South Jersey traffic, Tower is 5 miles to the southwest inbound for landing.
Interesting. Let's climb up to about 1,500 or 2,000 feet.
Okay.
This all looks good. You have the plane.
I have the plane.
When we get to 500, or actually when we get to 1,000, we can typically pull the power back away from 2,500 or full power. But right now, you don't want to take any more out. You're almost at the bottom of the green arc, so we'll leave it there.
Right.
And you always want to have your hand on the throttle. No, you're okay now, but when you're below 500 feet, even 1,000 feet, you want to have your hand on the throttle.
Okay.
And the friction lock keeps that thing tight. I like it pretty tight because even tight is a little loose. That thing will slide out from vibration. So we're coming up on 1,300 feet. I think if we were to turn, and we also have a ceiling to deal with here, which is not 4,000 feet. It's probably only 3 right now. So if we were to do a 180 turn right now, I think we can get back over Flying W without interfering with anyone.
Okay.
Let's just do a 180, so you're 115. Let's just go back to a heading of 010. That'll take us right over the right side of the airport, probably. There's Red Lion Airport right down there. So I'm just checking my ADS-B. I don't see anybody, but I'm gonna have a look. And let's keep that climb going while we're turning. That requires a little bit of effort. There you go. And just a little bit of right rudder here.
Traffic, Diamond's departing runway 19 3, Flying W.
Okay, so he just said he's departing to the east, and we are kind of to the east of where he just took off. So I'm just going to make him a radio call.
We wanted to go with 1,500?
We'll go to 2,000.
South Jersey traffic, Tower entering crosswind for right traffic, runway 26.
Diamond departing, Flying W. We're just south of the field, climbing 1,800 to 2,000. We're heading back up to go over to South Jersey. So he didn't say anything.
428 radio check.
Loud and clear, Flying W.
Turn left downwind for banner pickup 24, Lakewood.
Okay, so I need to find out. He's just coming off the field right now. So Flying W is right down there.
Yes.
I can see him coming off the field. I'm going to turn you. We got a little bit turned away from our heading of 010. Sorry, I was watching that. So let's level off here so we can take a little bit of power out.
Lakewood, Red Cubs, turn and left face to final banner pick.
Let's get back down to 2,000. You can see this ceiling's not at 4,000. It might be 3,000. It's probably not even. So there's a Diamond just took off. Do you see him? There he is, right off your wing strut. So we're going to keep an eye on him. He's the only one between us and getting over to South Jersey. So why don't you get the plane ready to go over there. So this will just be some really basic stuff on the way over. There's 2 ways to make this plane go up or down, right?
Right.
If we want to go up, you probably need to add a little power.
Okay.
Because otherwise, watch, we keep the power at 2,100 where it was, and I start to climb at 500 feet per minute. Just watch what happens to the airspeed. It's not going to stop bleeding off. It's just going to bleed, bleed, bleed. Eventually, you probably stall.
Eastbound.
I don't know. Actually, maybe we could climb for a while here. But we're not doing ourselves any favor. If we want to climb, we would add power.
Right.
So there's...
Flying W traffic, Cessna 739 Zulu Hotel, departing runway 19, flying W traffic.
Okay, so now if I want to descend this airplane, there's two ways I can do it. I can just put the nose down.
Right.
And we're at full power, and we're just going to pick up airspeed. That's not really what we want to do, so the other way is take some power out, and you, I don't know, you bring it back to maybe 18 in this plane.
Flying W traffic 739
and just trim the nose down a hair to 500,
runway 19, remaining in the pattern, flying W traffic.
And
final 26 South Jersey.
so if I held that right about there, at this power setting, I'm descending at 500 feet, and you can take your hand off the yoke for a second. The plane will continue to descend, and it seems like we're getting pushed that way.
Right.
But taking the power out's a nice way to descend, unless you're just doing something really simple. So let's put the power, let's go back down to 2000. So you have the plane.
I have the plane.
So whenever we change flight controls, I say to you, you have the plane. You say to me, I have the plane. I say, you have the plane. That's a positive control of flight exchange.
Okay.
And there's really good reasons we do that, because there have been many fatal airline crashes where everybody in the plane thought the other guy was flying. Like
Right.
3 guys in one case were all changing a light bulb in the landing gear system. One guy was troubleshooting the landing gear. The other guys were playing with the light bulb, and several hundred people were killed in the Everglades.
Man.
And that's not the only time that's happened, so let's just practice that. So let's pretend that I was flying the plane, your hands are off, and I said, I got to do something on my iPad, you have the plane.
I have the plane.
You have the airplane. So that's positive exchange. You'll see we're doing that all the time, and if I don't do it or you don't do it, there's going to be, we'll just do it again until we both do it. So whenever you say that to me, I'll understand that I didn't do it right.
Okay.
The other thing is, if you see me over here looking, oh, there's traffic, I'm trying to find this guy, or I'm looking for airport, one of us has to be monitoring the flight path of the aircraft at all times, because here's like really common. I'm playing with this, and I got like this downward pressure, and I don't realize we're descending or in a turn. And
4 miles.
you're playing with the checklist or looking at something, and the plane's going down at 800 feet per minute. Okay, we're going to Top Golf. We're at 1,500 feet. You have the plane.
I have the plane.
You have the plane. Where's Top Golf? Right over there. So let's hold 1,500. So we'll go, we don't need a lot of power right now, maybe 2,000 RPMs. So just see if we can. So this thing always wants to be at 0. This is a slight lag to this, so you kind of have to use looking out the window a little bit. But that, let's just stay at 1,400 because we're going to descend anyway. We're going to go over toward Top Golf, so that should be your heading. And when we get about to that white water tower on that heading, we're going to turn back in, and that'll put us on a 45-degree heading into South Jersey for the downwind leg for runway 26. We're already on the right frequency.
Yes.
The only difference over there is technically that pattern is 851 feet, I think, versus 1049. So it's basically an 800-foot pattern instead of a 1,000-foot pattern. And I believe got airline traffic coming into Philly. So we're now underneath the Philly class Bravo airspace, which it actually overlies Flying W too, but we're even further inside of it now. We're inside a level where we're not allowed to go above 3,000 feet without talking to ACT and obtaining a clearance. Okay, so we can go ahead and start that 180-degree turn. There's Top Golf. So we're just going to head, and we're going to break the turn off when we are aligned with the 45-degree entry to the downwind leg. So first thing we're going to need to do is find the airport. So that'll be, and we're descending a little bit, which is okay. So let's bring the power back to 1,800 because we want to descend into the pattern. So that's a little bit, we're getting blown that way. So let's go over this way. We'll turn here, and when I say we're going to get lined up at the center of this skid right here, we're just going to hold this heading, and then we're going to come in on a 45. So
there's one taking off.
Yep. So we're going to be going in on a 45-degree to the center of the airfield, and then we're going to turn another 45. We'll be on a right downwind for runway 26. I'm going to make a radio call. South Jersey traffic got Skyhawk inbound on a 45 for runway 26. We have the departing traffic in sight. Okay, so we're going a little bit too fast descending here, so I'm just going to hold this up.
Helicopter 20 Lima Alpha is to the northeast of the field at 7,700, Laurel.
Okay. I don't see anybody else here. I think that guy, and just want to make sure.
The west, and we're going to be inbound for full stop.
All right, so that's a downwind rate there, and we're still at 1,000 feet, so we really need to be at 750 here.
Okay.
And there's the airport right there.
Yes.
So now we have to watch out for flying W traffic.
Right.
So we want to be at about 1,750 to 1,800. You're already in the white arc. You can add a notch of flaps.
Okay. One notch of flaps.
I'm going to make a radio call. We want to be descending here too. So South Jersey traffic, Skyhawk turning right base for 26. So there is traffic at Flying W, and you can see how close these two airports are. And we're a little high, so I'm going to take a little power out, maybe back to 17. And now we're going to be right base. Oh man, we're still too high. That's okay. As soon as we come out of this turn,
we're approximately...
Now there's a guy on the runway now. Is there a plane down there? I can't see.
No.
Maybe not.
No.
I'm going to add the flaps as soon as we get turned here. So we're a little bit high.
Yes.
So the wind is coming pretty much right down the runway. I'm going to use this aileron.
Okay.
We're going to put left aileron and right rudder in.
Okay.
This is going to be a cross-controlled, and it says don't do it with full flaps. So this is how we get down to the runway environment when we're too high. And now we're coming back up where we should be. Our carb heat needs to be on here. I'm going to let all of that out and take the power back. And we're in the white arc. I'm going to add the rest of the flaps. Okay. And we're just going to get back down to the runway here. So we're just a little above the glide path here. And we're a little low on engine power, so I'm going to add a touch. There's the glide path. We're going to add a little more power, a little bit of left rudder. It's very windy down here, very gusty. That's what I was trying to warn you about this morning. So we're just going to get this thing down to the runway environment, and when we think we're there, we're going to take the rest of the power out. And that's not exactly center line. And then now it's slight braking, unless you got to stop fast. And you can pull this yoke back all the way to your chest if you have to help slow the plane down.
Okay.
And then we're going to use the second exit. The first one is going to be too much of a dog leg, so the second one is designed to do a U-turn onto the taxiway here. So we won't touch the flaps or anything. And then we're just using a little, I have mostly left brake on here. We're going to need a little bit of power to get up this little hill. We're going to go across these, hold short lines just to make this safe. You can open your window. I'm also going to go across the next set because some guy might get off on this one by accident.
Okay.
So we always want to leave room for an arriving traffic to get behind us unless ATC tells you otherwise. So you got wind pretty much right down the runway. You can open your window and let's do our after landing checklist.
Before cruise landing. So gas, no.
Nope, that's it. You had it. You had it. It's right here.
Oh, after landing. Okay, so flaps up. Mixed G-lean for taxi.
So just two fingers or one. So you gotta. Yep, you got it. That's it. That's perfect right there.
Throttle to 1,000. 900.
900 works, I think.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere right now.
Carb heat off. Carb heat off. Landing lights not touching. Set off track.
Carb heat's off.
Yeah,
so
carb heat's off.
we're done.
We're done.
So you can taxi back up here. I don't think we're going to have time to do a third one. I want to try to put this on the ground. So you have a lot of wind here today.
Yes.
And the reason we were so high was we had a very strong tailwind, right?
Right.
Really strong tailwind blowing us down. And we couldn't go much further in our descent without getting into Flying W's pattern. So that's why I had to use a forward slip to land, which you'll be learning about that. It's not a dangerous maneuver once you master it, but if you do it with too much flaps, that's against the POH in this plane. And it's also a cross-controlled aerodynamic situation, so it creates a lot of drag. And if you accidentally pull the nose up while you're doing that,
stall.
Yeah, it makes for a really bad stall. So I always tell everyone, if you're going to do a forward slip, you got to make sure the nose is pointed down, because that's the only reason we'd really be doing it, is to get down. So we want to make sure nobody's coming. It's clear right and left.
Yep.
The reason it's clear is it's pretty windy out here, and nobody else wants to get the crap beat out of them. But I give you credit for coming out here today. This is good practice for everything.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of stuff today too, and I know you probably don't remember all of it, but we're going to keep doing it. We did just do a forward slip. So normally when you do a forward slip, you want to find out which direction the wind is coming from. You don't want to do it with the aileron down on the wrong side. So we want to put the down aileron into the direction of the wind. In this case, there wasn't a, it was right down the runway. So I picked the one that's most convenient for me there. You definitely don't want to put the down aileron away from the wind though, because then the plane is susceptible. Well, it is susceptible to getting wind under the wing and kind of defeats the whole purpose. We wouldn't be very stable. I would say that would be dangerous. So this runway, I think you and I were over here the other night, right? So this runway has the peculiar characteristics that the only thing we can do here is a back taxi to depart on 26. If you could do an intersection departure here, but leaving runway behind you is always considered
bad form.
Yeah, worse than that, like probably just plain stupidity unless you're in some kind of tail dragger with. So let's stop right here.
Okay.
There's nobody coming this way, but I'm more concerned that somebody could be landing behind us, which is also, if they're landing in a 20-knot tailwind, just look back the runway and make sure nobody's coming that way.
Nope, clear.
So I'm going to make a radio call just in case. South Jersey traffic, Skyhawk, back taxi 26. Okay, so you can just go right over there. I'm going to look also, because we certainly wouldn't want to be on a runway with another aircraft, right? It looks clear to me. I have a pretty limited view, but I don't see anything anywhere. So you can just use the yellow lines to make kind of an S-turn back onto the runway center line, and then I don't know if there's a lead-off line. We're going to do what we did the other night, try and get your wheel to hug the grass, because this is a pretty limited half circle of pavement to work with here. So we don't want to be in the grass, but 6 inches, 8 inches away would be nice.
Okay.
And it's good practice too. So we're not doing a run up. All we have to do is a before takeoff check. So let's just stop facing traffic.
Okay.
I have a really good view behind us.
Okay.
So why don't we do the before takeoff checklist?
Okay.
So the plane is moving.
Yeah,
so that's good. That's good. It's good practice.
Yeah.
But just take a look here. What happens if you accidentally let your feet off the brakes? If you hit any of those things, this plane needs a new engine probably.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So the minute there's a prop strike, and plenty of people have hit the bottom of that concrete base or some base. Actually, I don't know if that's what that scrape is from, but if you hit anything, they got to at least take it apart and look at it. So no matter how small, and it usually requires a new crankshaft and propeller.
So what is DA?
Density altitude.
Oh, okay.
So density altitude today is 1,500 feet. So that's not ideal, but it's better than 28 or 5,000.
So flaps as required, no.
Zero. Mixture, so we're not at altitude, so I'm sorry, that's what you're asking me. Go ahead and push that full forward. We're not going to lean for altitude or density altitude today.
Okay. Carb heat off.
So it is in fact off.
Lights as required.
Good.
Trim set for takeoff.
Yep.
Fuel valve to both.
Both. Good job.
Heading indicator.
That's always going to be off. So it's 084 right now. So you're actually in pretty good shape. You can adjust it a little if you want.
It's good.
Yeah, we can do it. It's a good habit to get into.
Okay.
Just making it as precise as you can.
All right.
And this, I think that's its downwardmost position. So.
Okay. Transponder 1200.
And altitude is the important part.
Time document. You have that.
I do.
55 and 76. VRBY.
55 and 76 and complete. You just have to close your window and check your door. I'm going to do my checklist real quick, which is a floor to door visual. Looks good. We're going to turn right 90 degrees. I'm going to make a radio call. South Jersey traffic, Skyhawk 62862 departing runway 26. Okay, so nobody back there, nobody moving on the ground. You're going to have a pretty strong headwind, so expect to be airborne pretty quickly.
Traffic, Cessna 172 entering downwind for runway 19, flying W traffic.
So let's get rolling. And those trees are a goalpost down there, so I'm going to stay on the controls. You can go ahead and do it. We want to stay on the center line, feet off the brakes, full power. A little bit of right rudder until you get to the center line, then you can probably relax it a little bit. A little bit more. I'm just going to give you a little right rudder. We're bouncing, so you can just lift the nose a little bit, call out your airspeed at 60.
60.
Now here comes the tricky part. We want to get through these trees without any incident. So today it's not an issue because we're climbing with a 10 or 15 knot headwind here. So we want to stay over the center line. That's the safest spot. So I'm going to give you a little right rudder, right aileron.
Okay.
Traffic.
Now we're clear of obstacles.
Yes.
I want to put the nose down to make sure there's not some guy coming in the wrong way to land.
Right.
There's also a tower over here.
Yes. And
so we want to turn well before the tower at South Jersey.
Okay.
You have a positive rate of climb, and our airspeed is what, 75?
Full, yeah.
So you can just put your nose down a hair. We have good altitude. You want to keep your hand on there until we're 500. I would say 1,000 feet is a good time to think about taking your hand.
Traffic, Cessna 172, turning base for runway 19.
Once you get past these houses, there's a really nice stretch of open woods here that you can turn over, so we're not like bothering these people in the house. I usually wait till I'm about where this wooded area is, and then that's my crosswind turn. So you can go ahead and turn. And you're going to have a headwind to a crosswind here, so it's going to want to get under your wing, so you're going to make this a little shallower turn. And it's going to be pushing you at 10 or 15 knots over this wooded area. When you make your downwind turn here to climb out of the pattern, it's going to be a giant tailwind. So there's 1,000 feet coming up. You can go to 1,500 because we're leaving the pattern here.
Okay. Leave it at full throttle?
Yeah, keep it at full throttle and we'll just climb out. We're actually, technically we should have climbed out for 45 from the downwind leg, but we're not going that way. So let's just make a downwind turn here. We're already above the pattern, so we're just going to continue to climb out on the downwind leg. I'm keeping an eye out for any traffic. There's nobody else out here right now until we get over to the Flying W. So you got a good climb going. You have a safe airspeed of 76 right there. You're about to get a big tailwind. So we just, you know, it says we're going 79. This says we're going 91. So that's your tailwind right now, even in a climb. So let's level off at 1,500. We can keep an eye on things. Flying W is over there. Do you see the hangars? There's 6 hangars there. We're not going right there. We're going to go, let's see. What did we do? We took off on 19, right?
Flying W traffic, Cessna 1 final, runway 19, Flying W.
So I got her on final. She's over the bean field right now, real low. There's nobody else there, so. There's a couple ways to enter this pattern. One is to go directly over the center of the airport, enter the downwind. Let's level off at 1,500, or let's make it 1,700 now that you're there. So just level the nose and take some power out, maybe back to 2,000 RPMs. And head over to that Vincenttown water tower there.
Okay.
So I try to keep my hands where you can see them so you know you're flying the plane. But you are flying the plane right now. I'm not going to let you do anything stupid or dangerous if I'm aware of it, which I'm usually pretty aware of. So we have a little nose down right now. You can usually feel that and start to see it before you notice it on the instruments. So just find, you can stay at 1,600 feet here. Just find, and eventually we're going to do some practice with no instruments. We'll just cover them all up. But somewhere right around here, get used to that horizon to the top of the glare shield here.
Okay.
Somewhere right about there is going to be level.
All right.
Get used to that sight picture right ahead of you.
Okay.
Some days the horizon's not going to be visible. There'll be clouds or haze. So, but when we do have a horizon, you want to use it. So there's Flying W.
Yep, I see Flying W.
Nobody in the way. We're going to go over to Vincenttown Water Tower, which you got in your heading set right now. While we're heading in this direction and not talking about anything else, do you have all of the information to finish the student pilot application right now?
In terms of what?
Well, the last time we tried to do it, you had an old pilot's license.
Oh, right. So what I'll do is...
Watch this.
Okay. I will, yep.
You can just stay at 1500 because we're going to be descending in a minute.
I will call them tomorrow.
So we're not ready to do that right now?
Yeah, well, no, I think it should be ready. So, I mean, we can try it. But
okay, we'll just try it real quick. I just don't want to... Every time I do this with someone, it takes like 3 hours. And if you don't have all your end done, I don't even want to attempt it.
Well, then let's not attempt it.
No, we can try. If you think it's ready, I have no problem.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it if you think you already have some missing pieces. So you can see it's a little harder to hold the altitude when it's bumpy or when there's a lot of wind. So just do your best.
Yeah.
So we're going to go around the water tower, not over as far as Red Lion Airport. And do you see those red barns with the white or silver roof? So we're going to come around and try, and I think I showed you there's a housing development with a street that points right at it. So the houses are actually behind that tree line over there. So I'm just going to kind of vector you over there. So we're right over top of the water tower right now.
Okay.
We're still descending a little, but that's okay because we had to descend anyway. Let's not go any lower yet. Everything else is set, our radio set. We can grab the weather while we're here.
Visibility 10. Sky condition broken 3,700.
That's wrong.
Temperature 26 Celsius. Dew point 18 Celsius. Altimeter 2998. Remark.
2998.
Density altitude 1,300.
Just want to get the wind.
Automated weather observation 1850 Zulu. Wind 270 at 12. Peak gusts 18.
Okay, so it's kind of the same as when we left. It's gotten a little 2 knots stronger and the gusts are the same. So we'll just anticipate it's going to be a gusty landing. So let's start a gentle turn about 10 degrees to the right. The housing development and the road are coming right up here. And I think Red Lion is going to be just off to your left. You got it.
Traffic 21022 on a 6-mile final for runway 4.
So we're going to go over this way, enter in a 45-degree angle, turn another 45. We'll be on a left downwind for 19, and we'll land 19. So let's just hold this right here because we got a lot of wind pushing us this way. So we're just going to go in a little bit, and we're going to turn toward those red barns at a 45.
Cessna 3739 Zulu Hotel on base for runway 19, line W traffic.
Okay, so she's on base, which is down there somewhere, so let's find her. Do you see her?
No.
That's not her. Hang on. Sorry, let's take a little power out back to about 18 right now, because we're going to enter the pattern. And you can just put the nose down to 1,049 feet. I still don't see her on base yet. That's a little concerning. She is...
250 for 21022. We're doing the practice VOR approach, so we will do a circle land on runway 22. Silver.
I'm still looking. She's far away from us. I just don't have visual.
Right.
You can put the carb heat on right now.
Okay.
I still don't see her, but she is on the base to final right now, so somewhere out here. We're a little bit low, so let's just turn right another 45 degrees. The airport's right behind that tree line. I'm still looking for her. And I'm just going to give you a touch of power to get you back to at least 900 feet here. You see her down there anywhere? She's definitely in front of us a couple miles.
No.
She should be turning final right now.
Around 10 o'clock.
Got her. Yep, that's it. Okay, so we descended a little bit while I was looking out the window, but this is okay. We're at 800 instead of 1,000 right now. So we'll just not turn and we'll just take our time here because we don't want to turn base until she's behind your wing a little bit, 45 degrees. So you got your carb heat on.
I have it on.
We're going to set this for about 1700, 1800 right now. We're in the white arc. You can put 1 notch of flaps in.
1 notch of flaps.
She is now crossed your wing, so now remember I said the nose is going to come up, see it happening. So we just want to push it down. It'll reestablish itself in a descent. And we want 300 feet per minute, and there's a delay here, so that's about the sight picture. It's very similar to your straight and level, except it's a little bigger amount of earth. This is it right here. So you can even trim it down a little just so it doesn't pop back up.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and turn left 90 degrees. Flying W traffic 62862, left base 19. So you got the plane right now?
I have the plane right now.
I'm just going to let you give this a shot because there's a lot of wind coming from this direction. This is a really nice base. We're not in the final approach course of South Jersey, and we're descending a little too fast, so just lift just a little bit, like maybe 1-2 degrees. She's on the ground, so she's no factor. Our nose is coming up to where we're not descending anymore, and our airspeed will bleed off. So we want to push the nose down just a little bit.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
And that's it right there. So you can add another notch of flaps if you'd like.
Another notch of flaps.
And then the nose popped up, so you got to kind of anticipate that. And if you anticipate it, you won't have this up and down waffling motion. You'll just, so these wires, I like to cross them at 400. That's going to be questionable right now, unless.
Line W traffic 739 Zulu Hotel, clear the runway.
I'm going to you can put the last notch of flaps in.
Okay.
We're in the white arc. Let's go ahead and start our turn. We do have wind pushing us this way pretty strong, but I want to get over the wires faster. So you see the white light and the red light?
Yes.
Flight W 62862, 1 mile final, runway 19. Okay, so we're clear of that.
Yes.
That was 300 feet.
That was close.
Yeah, but we're on the glide path,
Right.
so that's where most people are going to cross it. If you're coming in here at night, give yourself 100 feet. So let's get lined up with the white stripes. I'm just going to keep a little pressure on this with you. This is going to be a pretty stable approach, I think, so let's use this to our advantage. Now we're going to put in some left rudder, and we might need a little right aileron to stay over the runway. And you can see I'm not like playing around with the power too much because it's set really well, but I am going to grab the throttle right now because we may or may not need it. So more left rudder. We're going to try and land on my wheel, which is the upwind wheel, and here comes the wind gust.
Okay.
So I have a lot of, I'm going to add a little power here because we're sinking, and we're going to try and land on my wheel if we can. And that was, that required a little bit of extraordinary control movement, but you'll be doing that someday soon. So I'm coming all the way back. This will help slow us down a little. We got all those flaps out. And I'm getting on the brakes, but not skidding.
Right.
And then we're just going to gently roll off here using the brakes. And now I've slowed it down enough to let my control forces off. And there's nobody to our left here, right?
No.
We're not quite on the center line. And you can see these guys are coming back too because they're trying not to irritate the next person after us, which is always a good idea if you can be back here 10 minutes, 15 minutes early. So they did not stop. We're going to stop. We still have 3 minutes. We're going to do the after landing checklist.
Sorry.
And I know why they're not doing it because they're just going to do the shutdown and everything at once, but...
Mixture lean for taxi.
Yeah, we can do that.
Throttle 1,000. That's pretty well.
It's good.
Let's try and get that. Okay. Carb heat off.
Yep. And
required.
so we're going to get rid of most of the lights right now except the beacon because it's not night, and we should be good to taxi back, right?
Trim wheel set to take.
Yep. Got it.
Okay. Complete.
I'm opening my. So I'm going to give you the plane.
I have the plane.
You have the plane. So somebody's walking out right now. I don't know if they're not looking for the plane, but there was somebody after us, and it's pretty good for them to be back on time because they might be doing a cross country or doing something where they need the plane for 3 or 4 hours. And our problem was and I'm not going to say we wasted 15 or 20 minutes, but we utilized 15 or 20 minutes inspecting this plane for wind damage this morning.
Well, that's unusual circumstances. So.
Well, that was actually a good lesson because I would have not seen that or thought about it. So we're going to just follow this lead-off line that used to be here.
Good in there, Park. 2 minutes.
You're doing fine, though. I'm not on the controls at all, so I'm only going to jump on when we get down near this guy's car, because we are going to have to park the plane pretty close to his car to get lined up. So we want to end up exactly like Karen and Don are right now.
Right.
A lot of people take these shortcuts or drive the plane through. If Frank catches you do that, he'll kill you. It's like so many people have dinged up his planes. So I'm going to grab the controls from you.
Have the controls?
We're going to go up almost to where we're doing a 90. So I'm looking at the tail tie down rope over there.
Yes.
I'm watching his wing.
Yes.
And I'm going to try and line up with his prop spinner. And obviously there's a car in the way, so that's
right.
I want to be really careful. And I want to not hit this wing over here. So that's about as close as I want to be to somebody's car with a propeller.
Yes.
And we're just going to do our shutdown right here. So grab the and put your feet on the brakes. I'm going to stay on it with you because this is real life.
Avionics master off.
Okay, so the minute we turn that off, yep, nope.